Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Honorable Mayor, distinguished council. In the next few moments, I'm going to take time to cover the 2022 crime report for the City of Spartanburg Police Department. Before I say that, I would like to thank each and every one of you for the support that we've been given over the years. I also like to thank our community partners, public and private, and those citizens that are really engaged in helping us police our city. And I'll be remiss if I didn't mention our members of our police department, both our sworn and civilian personnel who are so dedicated. I'm privileged to receive their service as a resident, and I'm extremely proud to be their chief of police. But I thank them from the bottom of my heart. They're a blessing to not only me, but to the city. Now we'll get on with the data because it's quite a bit. Now I must admit, Nicole Combs, the criminal analyst, said that page one and the last page was really all we need to hear. But there's a lot of good things in between, a lot of minutia, but there's some good data that I think would be worth sharing. And again, everyone has a role that they've played in making this happen. When you look at the 26-year benchmark, you'll see that steady downward trend from 1997 to 2022. And those indicators of violent person, property index, and benchmark crimes. And I think everyone have this in the packet, and we will make this available to the media once this is over. Thank you. This slide is, again, showing the benchmark, but basically the violent and other persons type crime. And as you can see, again, that steady downward trend with the yellow or goldish coloration being other persons crimes such as simple assault, intimidation, threats, and the violent crimes, which is more of your murders, your rapes, aggravated assaults. Sorry, calculator's going too quick. Sorry. All right, here we go. Shoplifting. When we go to the 26-year benchmark for our property, for our shoplifting and thefts from vehicles and other property crimes, again, you'll see a steady downward trend. I will indicate, though, that the theft from vehicles is still proven to be problematic from us. We still have to be more responsible in securing our vehicles and the items and unlocking them. But there'll be more of that in another slide. Police reports for 10 years of violence crime. As you can see, violent crimes were 11.2% below the 10-year average and increased to 27.6 over the past 10 years, which again is extremely significant. You'll see 2020 and 2021, we had an uptick, whether it's the COVID effect or whatever, but fortunately we have seen a decrease in our overall violent crime in the year 2022. The thematic map, or heat map as we call it, will show the city, and in the darker spots, the reddish zone obviously is showing the higher density of incidents. Of the 31 violent crimes, or 250 or 76%, were aggravated assaults, and 54 or 22% of those involved domestic violence or child abuse or neglect. The high density areas included with Norris Ridge, West Main, and John B. White, Senior Boulevard intersection, Prince Hall, and around the Spartanburg Opportunity Center and downtown. The 10-year police reports for crimes against persons. Again, steady trend line for us. Crimes against persons were minus 3%, or 3% below the 10-year average, and a modest decrease of 0.2% over the past 10. And again, a thematic map to show that of the a little over 1,200 crimes against persons, 798 were simple assaults. 371 or 46% of those involved domestic violence or child abuse and neglect. The high density area, once again, was Norris Ridge, Prince Hall, Spartanburg Opportunity Center, West Main and John B. White, and Victoria Gardens in our downtown area. Double clicking here. I'm sure why it's going. Property crimes were 5.7% below the 10-year average. Well, hopefully I didn't go back too far. And increased by 12.9% over the past 10 years. Again, some significant decreases in crime in that area. And as you notice, from years past, our high density areas for the property crimes are at our two super Walmarts or shopping centers on either end of the town. And of the 2,363 property crimes, 627 or 27% with shoplifting, 490, or 21% with theft of vehicles. As you can see, 48% of our property crimes involve just those two type of incidents. High density areas include, as I said, the Dorman Center off WEZL, and Blackstock Road on the west side, and the Walmart Shopping Center, or Super Walmart on the East Main. Property crimes, 10 years of index crimes. Again, we decreased by 6.4 below the 10-year average and decreased 15% over the past 10 years. And as noted in the bottom, the index crimes that are comprised and sent to the FBI for their information is the murder, non-negligence, manslaughter, robbery, forcible rape, aggravated assaults, burglary, larceny, including shoplifting, motor vehicle theft, and arson. The thematic map shows where the simple assaults are totaling 798, shoplifting 627, and theft from motor vehicles 490, which account for 54% of our index crimes. The high density areas again include our Dorman Shopping Center and the Super Walmart on the east side. Motor vehicle accidents. Again, we were below the 5-year average by 2.3% and decreased 10.7% overall for the past 5 years. That's still an extremely high number as far as they're very time consuming, but more importantly than that, loss and death and not just loss of life, but also serious injury and property damage.
That's every call, Chief, for motor vehicle accidents? That's
Yes, sir.
every call.
Those
Fender benders?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Psychological calls, and these are ones that where we had embedded a mental health professional with us. That person has moved on, but we hope to have them with us again because they were very helpful in addressing some of these type of calls. And as we see, that number is increasing, up 9.4% over the last 5 years, and a total of 22.7% over the past 5 overall. Again, we're seeing more and more issues with those experiencing mental health issues. Calls for the homeless has also been an area where we've seen a significant increase since 2018. Again, 14.1% above the 5-year average, and an increase from the time we started collecting that data in 2018 to now, 99.1% over the past 5 years. Sorry. Narcan. In addition to the homeless population and dealing with mental health, we're also dealing with, again, opioid and drug usage and abuse. Unfortunately, in our country, we have an insatiable appetite for recreational drug, and it costs us severely. But, as I mentioned before, we do employ Narcan because we're in the life-saving business. And as these graphs indicate, we have deployed it multiple times and where the subjects have recovered, but unfortunately, we still are having too many of our citizens dying from drug overdoses. And there's a gap there, as you see. There's some data that we're trying to confirm during those quarters, the fourth quarter of 2020 and the first quarter of 2021, and I have that information compiled and completed. No significant spike, but that's why that gap is there.
Chief, is that recovery as in the individual has gone to treatment and recovered, or recovery in that the Narcan has been administered?
Where the Narcan actually revived them and brought them back from the brink. Yes, ma'am.
Jeez.
And during the times we had the 5 years Narcan, again, you had some people overdosing on purpose, commit suicides, and other, you can see the number of deaths that has resulted. But the accidental overdoses seem to be the more prevalent or prevailing type of issues that we've been dealing with, up totaling 63%. And again, this isn't Mission Creek for us. This is what we do. We try to be in the life-saving business. And this is just the overall workflow to give you some idea of the amount of, or the volume of calls that we handle across during the course of a 12-month period of 82,550 calls. That's from all types of dispatch and notifications to us requesting assistance. And as you can see, the top 5 calls in that category: disturbances, suspicious persons, traffic stops, motor vehicle accidents, and then follow up to those initial calls that we've been assigned. The second category, again, is all CAD events. The second, which shows hang-ups, traffic stops, disturbances. Again, motor vehicle accidents and follow-up being the top 5. Very similar in nature when you talk about the actual ones that are reportable. is considerably less because all reports that we get aren't necessarily reported on a written documentation. That last column shows you that there's over 11,224 actual reportable incidents, with, again, collisions being the most. Shoplifting second, larceny is third, domestic violence, non-criminal, followed by information reports. And if I could turn your attention to the top right-hand corner, 2,647 warning tickets were written, 5,952 citations, 1,673 field interviews conducted, 1,122 warrants were signed, and as far as arrests, 1,853, and supplemental reports written to the incidents is total over 10,700.
Chief, the first two rows on the right-hand top, does that include traffic warnings and citations as well?
I'm sorry, sir.
At the top right-hand corner in the yellow box, does that include traffic?
Yes, sir. Yeah, those warnings and citations, those are primarily traffic offenses.
Okay.
There are some criminal incidents we can write on citation, but no, we will get warrants.
Gotcha.
Here are the peak hours, just to hit that in a nutshell, basically from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. during your normal Monday through Friday work week. Those are our busiest times, so calls for service. That changes, obviously, beginning Friday evening, and it goes on to the night, 11, 12, and 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, where the call volume stays up well over 500, as you can see. And that's true also for Saturday. Things start to wane and return to normal on Sundays. I mentioned earlier about the guns being stolen, or the gun violence and guns being stolen from our vehicles. Of 78 firearms thefts from vehicles, 63 or 81% show no signs of forced entry in the vehicle. We're not locking our cars, and we're leaving those vehicles in there, which is extremely unfortunate, because some of those guns will turn up in the wrong hands and be used for things other than legitimate reasons for having a gun, either hunting or things along those lines, defense. The victims, as far as the benchmark reports indicates, I'll let you look at the numbers, but the majority of our victims, over 60% are black, and then with over 50% are female. Sorry. When it comes to the age breakdown for those that have been victims of crimes in our city, 60 and over, as you see, is 13.9%. I will like to say that the majority of those are some of the fraud, where they're getting the phone calls or someone coming to the door selling items or things in the mail, or that generally fraud. It's not crimes against persons where they're being injured, but we do ask that they take great care that fraudulent activity that happens with our seniors. Obviously, the most prevalent or the most victimized age groups is that 22, 29, and 30 to 39 age group. Of those that the juveniles that we have arrested or taken into custody, as you can see, generally because of the lack of mobility, they live right here in town, and incidents occur right here in the city. So 53% of our juvenile-related crimes are by folks who live in our city, and 46.8 or almost 47% are non-residents. However, when we look at the adults, that changes pretty significantly. Most of those that are arrested for offenses committed in the city are non-residents of the city of Spartanburg. 38.8 are residents, and 7.1% are homeless.
That 7.1% homeless.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any idea? Are they city residents, or
again,
we don't have any way of?
They have no real way of knowing their exact address.
Okay.
And do we have to have a broader picture, like how many of those come from Spartanburg County?
We can see what we can find out about that. I think that's doable. Make note of it. I will say that, again, because of sitting on the interstate, like for example 26, when we've made several arrests over at the Super Walmart and the Belt and whatnot, we have people come even from North Carolina and come down 26 and do their dirt and then treat back across the border. But I would not be surprised to not only find them in the county, but even in additional adjoining state. Sorry, as far as critical community concerns, we're still looking forward. Still gonna be looking at the drug issue, because that's still so prevalent in our city, and the homelessness issue. That will still be targets for us. And the partnerships that we've had, as I mentioned from the very beginning, we'll still try to develop those, and even try to find and establish more that can help us impact and reduce the homelessness, drug use, and address the behavioral concerns that we have. As I mentioned before, we hope to have some more mental health professionals embedded with us. We had that one and was proven very effective, but I would love to have enough where they're with us pretty much around the clock if possible, and having that ready resource. But again, that's money and personnel, and getting both is somewhat challenging. The Real-Time Crime Center, to enhance the technology. During this time with staffing being an issue, you're always going to try to staff. You have to look at how you're structured to deal with the shortages that we may experience, to still enable us to respond to our citizens in the way that they deserve. But the other piece is technology. It's real huge, having that technology to assist us in our efforts to provide service. And again, I thank you all for the support that you've given us in the past, and ask for it in the future as we look for other avenues and other things we can do to enhance what we do and supplement what we do and free us up to handle those things that technology cannot go and address. And we're going to continue to monitor trends and impact our community. That's our responsibility. We want to make us as safe as we possibly can, and enhance the quality of life for the citizens in our city. And the last thing I'll say, as y'all know, from the first day I was sworn in, I mentioned that public safety was all of our responsibility. Sir Robert Peel, the father of modern policing, states that the police are the public are the police. The police are paid to give full-time attention to the duties that are incumbent upon every citizen in the interest of community welfare and existence. So, again, I'd like to end like I began by thanking you for all the support of you and the citizens at large, and the public-private partnership that we have established here in our city. It makes this a great place to live. Thank you.